Hey, Shalom, Akim. What's up again? I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kakurash. All right. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. All right. Peace and salutations unto the elect. All right. I'm out here at a park right now. Okay. With the sun is setting. All right. We're going to be out here for however long the Lord permits. Okay, however long the Lord allows me to stack up my treasures. All right, because that's all this is, really. Okay, we're stacking up our treasures at the same time warning our people. Okay, now, I made a lesson on this not too long ago. Pretty much going into the Lord giving you your own lot. Okay, you have your own lot, your own predestinated amount of work, amount of servitude that you're going to be given unto the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Now, whether that be for your benefit or for your own destruction, that's not for us to permit, or that's not for us to say. Okay, it's ultimately all Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. All right, but I know for a fact, you want to be on that side where these rewards are trophies. These are treasures stacked up in your heavens. Okay, and we know for a fact that Great Millstone has 144% truth. So we know for a fact that us coming out here and preaching this gospel and preaching that the MOTB is coming, all right, that the MOTB is the RFID microchip, okay, and that this place is only going to go downhill from here, that we're stacking up our treasures. Okay, so that's why we give double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Okay, you have to give double honors to the elders who are worthy, and the elders and apostles of Great Millstones are most worthy. Okay, the elders and apostles of GMS are absolutely worthy of double honor. Okay, and you have these other camps, okay, who like IUIC, okay, and these other camps who pretty much take things from GMS and make it seem like it was their own thing, like they came up with it. Okay? What the hell? Slovakia. But you have these other camps who make this foolish shit, and who, they're full of shit, want to take credit for themselves when really it's the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. All right, so anyways, enough rambling about that. We're right here preaching the downfall of America, okay, yet again. Okay, so I'm going to start off in the book of Revelations, chapter 13. All right. And I'm going to start, you can really see the whole thing, but I'm going to start at verse 11. Okay, and the title here is, we got a lot of people here today. All praises. Call Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. Anyways, you have the title is The Beast from the Earth. All right, now these, for those who don't know, okay, Revelations, the whole book of Revelations was St. John. Okay, St. John wrote these revelations in the island, when he was stuck in the island of Patmos. Okay, where the Lord gave these visions to John and he wrote them down. Okay, now it's the same logic applies to all these other books. Okay, the Lord gave these great men visions so that we can read it now. Okay, real quick before I read this, okay, let me grab a precept real quick. It says, okay, because ultimately these things were written for our learning. So this is the book of Romans chapter 15, and I'm I'm gonna start at verse 1, but the point is in verse 4. It says, when then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves. Okay, so we are slacky. What was the word he used again? But we are bearing these infirmities. Okay, now infirmities are those hard times that you go through in this ministry. Okay, so you have a lot of things that will go wrong for you in this ministry. Okay, but those are just some certain things that have to go with you. You know, certain things that have to go with you that you need to use to grow from. Okay, now the Lord, obviously the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai is going to give you something that you can't handle. Okay, you're not always going to be going through hell. All right, you know, some brothers were blessed with, you know, strong brotherhood. Okay, so you know, let me rephrase that, because all brotherhoods are strong. Okay, all the brotherhood is strong, right? But what I mean by that is, you know, a tighter group. Okay, a tighter, you know, they live closer. Me personally, I wasn't blessed with that. Okay, I'm like 2 hours, an hour and 40 minutes from the closest camp, you know. So, you know, personally, I wasn't, you know, blessed with that. But you have brothers that live together. Okay, you have brothers that live together. You guys can, you know, you were blessed with that. You know, and a lot of brothers, you know, were blessed with having your own woman. Okay, now, this can be a blessing. It can also be a curse, though. Okay, because, you know, scriptures say that let me grab it real quick. All right, because something that a lot of men do not understand is that when you give a woman the ability to change your whole mood, okay, you're giving her power to your own destruction. All right, now obviously you're gonna love your woman. Okay, I'm not saying don't love your woman. Okay, but if you're a wicked dude, all right, you're doing wickedly. Okay, you're gonna get a woman that's also wicked. So this is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 26. Chapter 26 and verse 23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. Okay, so a wicked woman will be as a portion unto a wicked man. Now we understand that this scripture isn't, you know, a lot of brothers, you know, I'm not gonna say they deal with demons, okay, but you have a lot of women here that are demons. Okay, ultimately they're demons waiting to trap you in a snare. Okay, but it says, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord, right? So you have a lot of brothers with women, okay, with wives and beautiful families, all right? And those are men that fear the Lord. Those are great men that fear the Lord. And you have your woman, okay? And a lot of times your woman can fatten your bones, okay? Your woman will fatten your bones. You know, ultimately, your woman, that's her purpose, okay? The Lord, you know, the scriptures say that Eve was made for Adam. I was about to say the other way around. Eve was made for Adam, okay? Because the Lord saw that it wasn't fair for, you know, a man to be by himself. Okay, so he needed to help me. He needed someone to be there for him. You know, someone to fatten the bones, and it goes both ways. All right? You protect and you provide for your woman, and your woman fatten your bones, and she'll take care of the household. That's how a marriage is supposed to be. Because a lot of you people don't understand that a marriage is a contract. Once you penetrate your woman, you know, once, you know, you have your virgin, all right, once you take her virginity, when you take a woman's virginity, they call it popping a cherry, okay, because you make her bleed, all right? That is a contract via blood that you two are now bonded together, okay? But that contract is void in this fucking wicked place, and these people don't care, all right? You have women that with fucking body count, a woman with a body count with 30, that wouldn't be too much in this kingdom, okay? That was, oh, you only got 30? That's 30 whole fucking dudes, man. That's way too much. Then you have these fucking whores, man. There's no other word to call them. You just got these whores that have so many damn bodies on them. you know. And these women are not shamefaced. They fucking brag about having these bodies. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. That's like, it's like sharing a fucking needle. You wouldn't share a needle 1,000 times, would you? Hell no, you wouldn't. It's the same thing, because your you know, your marriage is that needle. Okay, you're gonna pass around the needle, all right? That's how you have these fucking addicts. These drug addicts, they'll pass around needles, share all type of fucking diseases and shit. It's the same thing with the marriage. You can't pass around a woman. All right, that's disgusting. That's disturbing. That's wicked. All right, but then you have brothers that are blessed with women. Okay, I know several brothers that are, blessed with their own women, their own families. You have a lot of brothers in the ministry, beautiful families. They have your woman, you have your young princes, okay? You have, some akim with princesses, okay? All right, the Lord has given, the akim things to say so that they can be strong in this ministry. You're not going to be alone in this ministry, okay? And if you're alone, that's because you choose to be alone, ultimately. Okay, the Lord could be setting you right up for the brotherhood, or the brother, the Lord could set you right up, with the woman, given to your own portion, and you're too much of a coward to take it, or you're too much, you're too lazy to go and grab it, the blessing of the Lord, Yahweh Shimi Shai. So ultimately, that's on you, man. That's on you. Okay, personally, like I mentioned earlier, the Akim are, pretty, pretty they're a length away, okay, but, part of being in this ministry is making those sacrifices. All right, part of being in this ministry is making those sacrifices and allowing yourself to make time on Saturdays, because only a weakling, only a fool will say that they're busy on Saturdays. Okay, yeah, our brothers have work. Obviously, you can't really control that, okay, but I don't work on Saturdays, okay? Neither do I plan to on the future, okay? All the job applications, I always make sure that Saturdays are off, okay? And yeah, I have school. Yeah, I have school. I have certain things to take care of in this world. Okay, I have my woman too. The Lord blessed me with a woman. All right, but you have certain things that you have to put this ministry first, okay? You can't expect to grow while putting this world first. This ministry is always going to be first. Now, does that mean you go ahead and you abandon your wife and you abandon your job and you do this, you do that, you call off every Sabbath? That's impossible, man. You can't call off every Sabbath. You can't. You're not going to always have you're not going to always have the ability to call off Saturdays. Some brothers may be blessed to have such a flexible job that they'll just, hey, I'm not gonna go in today. They may be blessed with that. You never know. The Lord can bless them with that ability. Okay, and some brothers may have it harder where they can't find another job that they have to work on Saturdays. Okay, maybe you have to work on Saturdays. Okay, and you have to work on Saturdays, but you still go out in the ministry. Okay, you still go out and you preach. I mean, today is what? Today is Wednesday night. Okay, you don't see me making an excuse of, but I already go out on Saturdays with them brothers. Why I gotta go out again? No, man. No, because I'm making my calling and election sure. Okay, and this is not for me to brag about. This is all is given to you by Yahweh Shema Shai, which is the main point I'm trying to get across right now. Okay. But right, let me go back to Romans. Okay, but like I said, some brothers are gifted with different things, man. Okay, some brothers are, like I mentioned, some brothers are gifted with having a woman. Some brothers are gifted with having the brotherhood, man. You're not gonna be alone in this ministry, and that's something that a lot of people like to. You want to make your life harder than it is for no reason. Okay. Why are you going to make this already challenging fight even more challenging? You know how hard it is to be alone? Have you ever been alone, man? That's some of the hardest shit you could ever be through. Okay, and trust me, I know. I know, man. Before all this, before the ministry, man, You know, brothers go through shit. You know, brothers really go through shit, man. You know, before the Lord blessed me with my woman, you know, before the Lord blessed me with the Akim, okay, that you can call anytime, you know, you can they can send up prayers for you, you know. I had to go through my own path, you know, and I was making my life a lot harder than it really was, okay, than it really should have been. You know, now does that mean the walk is going to be easy after that? Of course not. The walk is still going to be hard. It's still going to be a straight gate, okay? It's still going to be a straight way, okay? It's never going to be easy, per se, all right? But the Lord will give you things to keep you going, all right? Okay, so, you know, you won't have the Akim to go out with on Saturdays. Some brothers is blessed with both, and that's beautiful, man. You know, our brothers, really, most brothers are blessed with both. Most brothers have women. Some brothers don't have women. That's okay, you know. You know, some brothers don't need women, all right? Maybe the Lord sees, you know what, this brother could use a woman. Or, hey, this brother's strong enough that he don't need a woman. You know, it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Anyways, back to Romans 15:2. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification. For even Yahushai pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached thee fell on me. All right, now here's the point. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. Right, so these scriptures were given to us for our hope, for our own patience, okay? For these things were written for our learning, okay? So like going back into the island of Patmos with John the Revelator, okay? John the Revelator had these visions with him, okay, on the island of Patmos. Okay, so I'm going to read Revelation 13. I'm going to start at verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth of them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Okay? It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. So what is this beast? What is this beast going into? What is this beast he's seeing? Is it an actual beast? You know, no, it's I think I just saw a chariot. Unless that was some fireworks, but could have been chariot. You never know. Anyway, Salakia. Okay. This beast is going into the this beast that is talking in particular is going into that MOTB, okay? Because when you take the mark of the beast, you're gonna be able to do these certain miracles, okay? Certain miracles you're going to be able to do when you take this mark of the beast. Okay, now what are those miracles? Okay, some of these things have been taught about, you know, where you can, you know, it's talked about how it can potentially cure blindness. Okay, some of these things are, you can cure blindness, and you can you know, cure blindness, or you can do, man, what the hell? Salakia. Salakia. Anyways, you know, some of these things that were talked about where, you know, this dude was playing chess with his mind, okay, with the mark of the beast. Okay, these are miracles that are given by the beast, Okay? It reads on, it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. Okay? So what is that wound by the sword? That's talking about the Roman Empire, okay? When the Roman Empire collapsed, the wound that came out of it being America. Okay, America was healed. Or it's like America was that small wound that healed. Alright, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right, so if you don't worship the image of the beast or the orders of America, okay, if you don't worship this place, but if you don't worship this place and do what this place is right in the eyes of this place, in the eyes of this world, you're gonna perish. Okay, you're gonna be killed. All right, that's the same thing. Okay, when the mark of the beast comes, the people are gonna take the chip, man. All right, just because you say you're not gonna take it, that don't mean nothing, bro. The Lord could have it so that you take it. You be the first one to take it. All right. So don't ever say, oh, I ain't gonna take that. Man, it's so terrifying that a brother had a vision of this. Okay, a brother had a vision of the of his one of the brothers in his camp. Okay, who ended up not being a brother, who ended up being, who ended up taking the chip. Okay, he ended up taking the chip. So these are things that you have to take into account, man. You can't just think to yourself, oh, I ain't gonna take the chip, talking all this smack. Next thing you know, you're gonna be the first one in line taking that shit, man. Same thing happened with the vaccine. Okay, and before you ask, no, the vaccine is not it's like it. The vaccine was not the mark of the beast, but is a clear indicator. If you took that vaccine, you're most likely going to take that mark of the beast, man. Okay? And a lot of people are dying from this vaccine, the C-19. Okay, we can't even say the name. We can't even say the names. Otherwise, the videos will get taken down. All right, it says, and here's the point, verse 16, Revelation chapter 13 and verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Okay, and that word mark right there means charagma, okay, which means insertion. So this is going to be a physical mark. All right, it ain't sleeping with white women, okay, because then you wouldn't be able to have concubines. Hey, but, look at the great men of old, all right? These great kings, they had a whole bunch of concubines. They had a whole bunch of wives. All right? They had a whole bunch of wives and concubines. Okay, but only an Israelite man can fully marry an Israelite woman. Only an Israelite woman will be able to be called your wife. All right? If you marry outside, if a husband gets a concubine, or if a husband has sex, if an Israelite man has sex with someone outside of the nation of Israel, that woman would be considered a concubine. That woman would be considered a concubine. Okay, no matter if she's a so-called white woman, it don't matter if she's a Ammon, no matter if she's a Moab. Okay, they would be considered concubines if they're outside the nation of Israel. But anyways, it says, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So everybody's going to be forced to take this, whether you're in jail, whether you're free, whether you're a homeless man, a poor, or if you're rich, okay, or you're in the middle class. It don't matter, where you are in the society, you're going to be forced to take this chip. Okay, you're going to be forced to take this charagma, this insertion in you, somewhere in your right hand or in your forehead. All right, and if you don't take it, you're not going to be able to buy. You're not going to be able to sell things. You're not going to be able to live in this world. Okay, and you're going to be killed. That's the main thing. If you don't take this, you're going to be killed. All right. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Right. So you want to use wisdom. Okay, that ultimately, the last part, 666 translates to 666. Okay, now this was old news, but if you look at a barcode, okay, you'll see that there's 3 little dashes, okay, without numbers. Okay, when you scan it with the barcode, it reads as 666. Okay, so what does this mean? What does it mean when you take this mark of the beast? You are no longer property of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. That means Yahweh Shai's sacrifice no longer applies to you in this world. That means that you no longer have a chance to be saved. You are now destined to eat a nuke once you take that chip, because now you're marrying the beast. Now you're marrying Esau. Now you're Esau's property. Now Esau gets to do whatever he wants with you. Now Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai ain't got no, well, obviously he has control over you, but he ain't gonna want to do nothing to deal with you. Okay? He's not gonna be able to come save you, because now you're married to Esau. Now I want to see what it says with the NLT. It says, I'm going to start at verse 16. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slaves, to be given a mark on the right hand or on the forehead, and that no one could buy or sell anything without the mark. Right, you're not going to be able to sell anything without this charagma, without this insertion. It says, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Right? Like I said. Okay? So you are going to now be property of Esau and the beast. You are no longer property of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai once you take this chip. So be careful, man. Alright? You're given a stern warning with all the camps every single Saturday. Once you take this chip, it is game over for you, bro. Once you take this chip, you're fucking through, man. You're through. You're gonna eat a nuke, and there's nothing you can do about it. Alright? You can try to shoot yourself in the head. You're gonna survive it just to eat the nuke. Okay? It says, I'm going to get the book of Revelations. Chapter 14 now, and verse 8. So next chapter. Look at that. Doom for worshippers of the beast. I'm not sure if you can read that. It's backwards. But it says, doom for worshippers of the beast. Okay. So it says, Revelation chapter 14. I'm going to start at verse 8. It says, And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And what is the most influential country in the world? Okay, that is America. That is Babylon the Great. That is America. Okay, when you look at all these other nations, whether they like it or not, whether they think it or not, China, Europe, all these other nations were influenced by America. And that's not a good thing. That's not something to brag about. Okay, America has given them the wrath. Okay, America has polluted everybody. Okay, you look at the woman of America. All right, Eve is fucking through. All right, you go to Mexico, women are still traditional. Okay, you go to only in America, man. Pretty much only in America, bro. Even in fucking the UK, man. The woman they'll still have fucking shit right there. You know? They'll still have a little household or whatever. You know, even though they're fucking Edomites themselves, man. You know? But America is the most influential country in the world, or Slovakia. Yeah, country in the world. You know? It says, and the third angel, verse 9, Revelations 14 and 9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receives his mark in his forehead or in his hand, right? So back in the last chapter, in the last chapter, it was talking about what is this beast, okay? It's telling you that you won't be able to buy or sell without this beast. Now it's telling you the consequences of what will happen if you take this. It says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of power, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. Okay, so you're going to taste the wrath of the Lord, the Almighty, the creator of all things, the King of kings, the King of terrors. Okay, the scriptures talk about, let him be my dread. Okay, Yahweh Shema Shai is meant to put some fear in your heart, bro. When you hear that name, you're overcome with all these emotions, the main one being fear. All right? You're scared to even mispronounce the name. You know? Personally, you know, sometimes I get terrified, you know, because you have to be careful with everything you do. When you're praying to the Lord, you have to be careful with what you say, because you have to understand that the Heavenly Father is hearing you. Okay, you're not just praying in vain, you know. That's why you have to be very, very careful and really understand what you're praying for and what you're praying to, what power you're praying to. That's why the elders and apostles of Great Millstones always say, know what you're a part of. Know what power you're serving, man. Know truly what power you're serving. Okay, and if it don't terrify you to the core what the Lord can do to somebody, go watch some of them gore videos, bro. You know, them gore videos where you know, people are trapped in furnaces and shit. You know, it's terrifying. Okay, that's a painful, horrible death. I wouldn't, you know, it's just horrible. I would not want to, you know, any of that. Okay, it says, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, that Lamb being Yahushua. Okay, so you're going to be tormented with fire and brimstone. What does that mean? That means when the nuclear destruction comes, you're going to be burned with the nukes. It says, and the Lamb being Yahushua and the holy angels. It says, and the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is patience of the saints. It's like, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of power and the faith of Yahushua. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Right, because there's going to be some of you who are going to be Martians for the Lord. You're going to die for the Lord, Yahweh Yahushua, and that's the best way you can die for. That's the only reason, you know, you should die. Well, you know, serving the Lord, Yahweh Yahushua. It says, yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Right, so when you die, even now, you know, even if you don't make it to the finish line, when you die, and you're still serving the Lord Yahweh Shai, your works are gonna follow you. Okay, so you just have to have faith. You have to have, you know, understanding that, okay, your faiths are following you. You're not doing these works in vain. Okay, remember the promise. The elder Apostle Gabar made a beautiful lesson around 2 days ago, which I just watched it this morning. But he said he made a lesson entitled 8 Wonderful Promises that the Lord, Yahweh Shai, promised us as Israelites, being Israelites, because the promise is only to the Israelites. Okay, the promise is only to the Israelites, and that's something that's, you know, said in the scriptures time and time again. Okay, so your works are going to follow you. Okay, your crown that's laid up in heaven, you're just going to receive it earlier. Okay, your laborers, there's been several brothers who died in this ministry. Yet, there's been several brothers who died laboring for the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And best believe they're up there right now, man. Best believe they're up there right now, looking down and saying, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep the ministry going. They're finally up there, and they're just rejoicing. They're just, every single day that goes by and you're still in the spirit, man, the angels are rejoicing. The scriptures talk about this. Every day you're in the spirit. Every day you do something for the Lord. Every day a new brother comes in. Every day a brother is more in the spirit. Every day the angels are rejoicing and rejoicing. Why are they rejoicing? Okay, why are the angels rejoicing? Because it's a step closer of getting here. It's a step closer for our salvation. Okay? So as excited as we are to get out of here, the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is that much more excited. But ultimately, the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, okay, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai being the only begotten Son, He is ultimately the one who, Slakia, He is ultimately, the creator of all things, and He understands it. He knows the perfect timing for everything. He knows the perfect climax. He knows the perfect ending, everything. The Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushua got it covered, man. So it says, matter of fact, I'm going to grab one more and then I'll end it. Okay. Alright, because a lot of people confuse these two marks. Okay, one of marks is, the mark of exemption. The other mark is the mark to kill you, or the mark of the beast. Mark 11. Mark. Come on, man. Mark 11. It says, Mark 11, and I'm going to start at verse 22. And Yahushua answering saith unto them, having faith and power, for verily I say unto you, that whosoever shall say unto this mountain, but be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and doubt not in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass. Wait a minute. Slakia, that's not what I wanted. Slakia, that's not what I wanted. I wanted, but go not until. Cause I'm trying to get home, man. It's hot. I'm just kidding. But no, man. The Spirit has it. Can't find it though. Oh man. Where is it at, man? want to hide it from me, dude. I had it pulled up too. Slack, bear with me, Akim, while I figure this out. Go onto those. Slack, Akim, bear with me. Damn it, man. I'll just grab Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 4. According as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Yahushua HaMashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. Right, okay, so the Heavenly Father, ultimately, it's his good pleasure, okay? The scriptures talk about it, his good pleasure to give us this kingdom, all right? But, you know, we have been predestinated. You know, if obviously, Lord willing, I'm part of the hopeful elect. But, you know, if you're of that elect, you have been predestinated. So you will not fail. You have been predestinated to not fail, man. You've been predestinated to succeed, okay? So, you know, Salaki for the interruptance and towards the end. You know, other than that, you know, Lord willing was an edifying camp. You know, I'm already facing the east. It's like I'm not facing the east, giving all praises, honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Kakurash. All right, double honor to the elders and apostles of your millstone. Peace and salutations unto the elect. Shalom.